Hello and welcome everyone to a new biology session. This is Mrs. Ranjana Dubey, a biology faculty from Ansh Academy. Ansh is an online based platform which provides coaching in NEET and JEE as well as provides foundation classes in the same. Our director, Sir E. Lazarus, and his family have been associated in imparting education in this field since 4 generations. Now, presuming that you have watched my previous video on a very important lesson from the NEET perspective, principles of inheritance, today also I would like to throw light on yet another very important topic of class 12, which is human reproduction. Let me take you forward to this lesson with the help of my slides. This lesson, reproduction, belongs to the first unit of class 12. Human reproduction is a component of the unit 1 of reproduction of class 12. The other lessons on this unit are reproduction in organisms, which belongs to both botany as well as zoology, sexual reproduction in flowering plants, which is a purely botany topic, human reproduction and reproductive health are the topics of zoology. Now, this lesson, human reproduction, would be able, it's a very important lesson, a very interesting lesson, even though a lengthy lesson, would be able to provide us with minimum of 3 questions every year in the NEET examination. The next lesson that follows, reproductive health, we will also be gaining the concepts to answer the questions from the lesson 4 of unit 1, reproductive health, from the concepts that you will be developing in the third lesson, human reproduction. So, meaning to say that the third lesson, human reproduction, provides us with the basis of this lesson as well as reproductive health. So, taking you forward to this important lesson, human reproduction, let us first see the various subtopics that are given in NCERT, which we will be covering. The topics are structure and function of the male and female reproductive system, gametogenesis, menstrual cycle, fertilization and implantation, pregnancy and embryonic development, and parturition and childbirth. Now, we will be covering all these subtopics, 6 topics, one by one. The first topic here is structure and function of the female reproductive system. Now, here is the photograph, a gist of what this lesson would actually be covering in detail. The male reproductive system, which you see here, the female reproductive system, the fertilization taking place, and finally the parturition or the childbirth. Now, before I take you to the first topic of this lesson, which is gametogenesis, I have with me certain questions. The questions are from the previous year's NEET papers. The first question in this regard is GnRH, a hypothalamic hormone needed in reproduction, acts on anterior pituitary gland and stimulates the secretion of LH and oxytocin, or anterior pituitary gland, which stimulates the secretion of LH and FSH, or posterior pituitary gland and stimulates the secretion of oxytocin and FSH, or again posterior pituitary gland and stimulates the secretion of relaxin and luteinizing hormone. Well, looking at the question and the options, you might be seeing a resemblance of this question with another lesson, which is endocrine system. So the topics do overlap, and we always need to keep the previous topics in mind. We will be covering this topic when we are doing the hormonal control in the reproductive system of males. The right answer for this question is anterior pituitary gland and stimulates the secretion of luteinizing and follicle stimulating hormone. The next question is capacitation occurs in which of the following? Rete testis, epididymis, vas deferens, or female reproductive tract. Now, this part, capacitation, also would be covered when we are doing the female reproductive tract, which is also the right answer for this question. Now, the third question which I have brought is a temporary endocrine gland in human body is what? pineal gland, corpus cardiacum, corpus luteum, or corpus alluteum. This also would be covered when we are again doing the female reproductive system. The right answer is corpus luteum. And next question is, several hormones like human chorionic gonadotropin hormone, human placental lactogen, estrogen, and progesterone are produced by which of the following? Ovary, placenta, fallopian tube, or pituitary? And the right answer for this question is placenta, which we will be again seeing when we are doing the female reproductive system and the topics ahead of it. Now, so these questions which I have brought to you are from the same year 2017. So these questions are from the year 2017. So you can see that you get good amount of questions from the lesson human reproduction. Now let us see what reproduction is all about. Reproduction, let us try and break the word reproduction into two parts. Re, which means again, and production, which we all know is to produce. So reproduction means production of one or more organisms of the same kind. Very important, one or more organisms or offsprings of the same kind. What will it ensure? This will ensure continuation or perpetuation of the species, as well as it is a sexual reproduction, so therefore diversity and evolution are also very important components of reproduction. Now, taking the lesson human reproduction, let us first see what are the events in the process of reproduction. The various events which take place in the process of reproduction are given. First one is gametogenesis. Genesis means to form and gameto means gametes. What are the male and female gametes? The male gamete is sperm and the female gamete is ova. So the formation of these male and the female gametes, that is basically sperm and ova, is called gametogenesis, which is the first event, which is also the first event in the process of reproduction. Now, after the male and the female gametes have been formed, they need to be transferred. The male gamete needs to be transferred into the female genital tract. Now, it is at this point I would like to mention that in humans, there is internal fertilization which is seen, the reproductive tract or the reproductive organs of the humans are very well equipped and modified to allow for internal fertilization and the development of the embryo within the uterus or within the female reproductive system, which is called as viviparous mode of reproduction. So for this process, now the second step is insemination, which will include the transfer of sperms into the female genital tract. Now, after the sperms have entered the female genital tract, what will happen? The sperms will fuse with the ova. The sperms are going to fuse with the ova. What is this process called as? This process is called as fertilization, or it is also called as syngamy. This is the third event in the process of fertilization. After the sperms have fused with ova, they have given rise to a structure which we all know as zygote, which is a single celled structure. Now, this zygote, which is a single cell structure, will eventually give rise to multi-celled structure, which will finally get implanted into the female uterus for further development into a complete embryo. So this multi-cell structure development into a thing called blastocyst, and finally the attachment of this into the uterine wall is called as implantation. The formation and development of blastocyst and its attachment to the uterine wall is called implantation, which is the fourth event in reproduction. After the blastocyst has been implanted, it grows further and develops into a full matured embryo, which takes around 9 months or approximately 266 days from the conception. This period is called as, or this event is called as gestation, which is the fifth event in the process of reproduction. And after the embryo has been fully developed, we are ready for the next event rather, which is your childbirth. Childbirth or the delivery of the baby, which is also called as parturition. The term for it is parturition, which is the sixth topic of the reproduction or the sixth event of the reproduction, after which lactation will follow. Now, coming to the first event, gametogenesis. We have to begin with gametogenesis, which is the formation of sperms in males and formation of egg or ova in female. Now, in order to study the gametogenesis process, we need to really understand the structure of the male and the female reproductive system, where actually the process of gametogenesis will take place. So let us first begin with the studying the structure of the male reproductive system. Now, the male reproductive system, where is it located? It is, we all know, it is located in the pelvic region. What does it include? It includes a pair of testes along with accessory glands and ducts and external genitalia. Now, what are the accessory ducts? The accessory ducts will be vas deferens, epididymis, and vasa efferentia. What you can see in this diagram, so these accessory ducts are your epididymis, vas deferens, you can see here, and vasa efferentia. So these form the accessory ducts. What is the accessory glands? The accessory glands, they comprise the seminal vesicle, next is the prostate gland, and the Cowper's gland, which is also called as the bulbourethral gland. So you can see here in this particular diagram, the seminal vesicle here, which is in pair, that is two, prostate, which is single, and bulbourethral or the corpus gland, which is again in pair, are the accessory glands of the male reproductive system. And then comes the external genitalia, which is the penis, which is the external genitalia. The penis is the external genitalia. So these are the various parts of the male reproductive system. Now, out of these parts, one is called, or some parts are called as the primary sex organs, and some are the secondary sex organs. Now, who is a primary sex organ? A primary sex organ are the gonads, are the main organs which will be directly or chiefly, they will be involved in the production of the gametes, which is nothing but the sperms. So those organs which are directly producing sperms or spermatozoa or gametes, which we know are called as the primary sex organs. Okay. Now, along with sperms, they will also be producing the sex organs, which are collectively called as, what are they collectively called as? They will be collectively called as androgens. And the chief hormone in your androgens is your testosterone. The male gonads, what are the male gonads? They are the testis, which is the primary sex organ, which is located here in this diagram, which you are able to see. It is in pairs. Now, coming to the secondary sex organs, the other part that we are seeing in this diagram, they are epididymis, which was the accessory duct, vas deferens. Then you have certain glands, seminal vesicle, prostate gland, corpus gland, and ejaculatory duct, which form the secondary sex organ. You will also be coming across this word testicle in this lesson, which is nothing but testis along with epididymis. So this tube, epididymis, which you see, is called as testicle. Okay, so this was your primary sex organ, testis, and the secondary sex organs. Now, starting with the primary sex organ, testis. Now, in mammals, testis is actually not inside the abdomen. It is outside the abdomen, which is why it is called as extra abdominal. The testis is located outside the abdomen, so it is called as extra abdominal. Now, why is testis located outside the abdomen? Is there any special reason why it cannot be accommodated inside the body? Mainly because the maturation of the sperm, the production of the sperm, the storage of the sperm, and its survival require certain conditions. And what are those conditions? The conditions are that they require a temperature of about 2 to 2.5 degrees C lower than the normal body temperature. So, what is the normal body temperature? 37 degrees C. But sperms, for their maturation, survival, development, storage, and all other functions require a temperature of 2 to 2.5 degrees C lower than 37 degrees C. So that is why they are located extra abdominally in a pouch like structure, which is called as scrotum. In a pouch like structure, now this is the testis that you see in your diagram, and they are located in this pouch like structure, which is called as the scrotum. You can see this is the scrotal skin in which the testes are present. What does the scrotum do? Scrotum is providing a very healthy environment for the production of the sperms. What is the production of sperms called as? It is called as spermatogenesis. So basically, scrotum is providing a very healthy environment for spermatogenesis or formation of sperms. Now, is it happening in all individuals or in all class of mammals? No. Now, in some instances, we will see that the testis does not descend into the scrotum. So then when does the is testis formed inside scrotum? No. In the fetal life, you will see that testis is formed in the seventh month of pregnancy. It is formed in the seventh month of the pregnancy, and then it finally descends into the scrotum with the help of a canal which is called as inguinal canal, which you can see in this diagram. Testis is formed in the abdomen where in the seventh month of the pregnancy, after which with the help of inguinal canal it descends down into the extra abdominal region in a pouch called scrotum. Okay, but in some organisms, when it does not descend down, in some mammals, or we will limit it to human beings. So in humans, when it is not able to descend into the scrotum, it leads to a condition called as cryptorchidism. And the condition is called cryptorchidism. Now, when the testis is not able to descend into the scrotum, then it will cause sterility in the males. And there are also chances that a tumor of the testis will develop. But there are certain mammals which are able to retain the testis within the abdomen without any defect. There are certain mammals which are able to retain the testes in their abdomens without having any defect. They are elephants and some aquatic like your whale and dolphins and some prototherians. Now, how is the testis present inside the scrotum? The testis in the inside the scrotum is hanging with the help of spermatic cord. What you can see here is the spermatic cord. Now this spermatic cord will supply it with blood vessels, lymph vessels, nerves. Now there are certain important muscles which are lining or present in the scrotum, which are the cremaster muscles. You can see it in the diagram. This is the spermatic cord which is hanging the testis inside the scrotum, and there are certain muscles. This is the cremaster muscles. Now this cremaster muscle along with another muscle called the dartos muscles, which is present in the scrotal sac. What do? They help in positioning of the testis. Positioning of the testis, and at the same time, when the temperatures go down, they contract. The cremaster muscles and the dartos muscles will contract in low temperature, which will pull the testis closer to the abdomen. And when the temperature is high, when the temperatures is high, then the cremaster muscles and the dartos muscles will relax, which will keep the testis away, which will ensure what? Which will ensure the healthy production of sperms for spermatogenesis. Now coming to the structure of testis, which is the primary sex organ in detail. Now in adults, now this is the entire testis. So this is one testis that we are showing. This is oval in shape, as you can already see, and the length, this entire length is around 4 to 5 centimeters, and the width is about 2 to 3 centimeters. They are also enclosed in a dense covering in an outer tough capsule of collagen, made up of collagen. So this tissue which you see in white color is this outer tough collagenous tissue, which is called as tunica albuginea. So this is the organ covering the testis. Let us see what else is present. Now within the testis, you see that there are around 200 to 250 compartments. So you can see that there are various compartments. You can see this various compartments in the testis. So these compartments are how many? They are approximately 200 to 250 in number. And each compartment, each of this compartment, these compartments, what are they called as? They are called as testicular lobules. They are the testis has about 200 to 250 compartments, which are called as testicular lobules. Now inside this testicular lobules, these 200 to 250 testicular lobules, what are present? 1 to 3, एक से 3, 1 to 3 very very highly coiled structures, which are called as seminiferous tubule. Very highly coiled. You can see that they are highly coiled structures called as the seminiferous tubules. The length of the seminiferous tubule can range from range up to 70 centimeters. So what we have seen, that the testis has got compartments. How many? Around 200 to 250. Those compartments are lobules. Inside the compartments, every compartment around 1 to 3 very very highly coiled structure called seminiferous tubules are present. Now, what are these seminiferous tubules? These are the super important structures of the testis. The seminiferous tubules are made up of or contain two primary cells or important cells, which are the male germ cells, also called as the germinal cells or spermatogonia, or which will eventually be forming the spermatozoa. They will be formed spermatozoa, which will eventually form sperm. So these are the germ cells, spermatogonia, present inside the seminiferous tubules, and the next cells are called as the somatic cells or the Sertoli cells, which are also called as the sustentacular cells, which are also called as the sustentacular cells, or also called as the nurse cells. Now, what do they do? These nerve cells or the tentacular cells or the Sertoli cells or the somatic cells, what are they going to do? They are going to nourish the spermatogonia. They nourish the germinal cells, which is our spermatogonia, helping in the process of spermatogenesis. Helping in the process of spermatogenesis. There are some other functions also which the Sertoli cells carry out. Let us see what those functions are. Now they are producing a protein called androgen binding protein, abbreviated as ABP. What do? They will bind with the androgens, mainly the testosterone. Why will they bind with the androgens? So that the sperms or spermatogenesis can take place nicely, so that they also maintain the high concentration inside the seminiferous tubules. High concentration of what? High concentration of testosterone. So with the help of this protein, androgen binding protein, high levels of testosterone, which finally trigger the production of sperms, are maintained inside the seminiferous tubules. The next is inhibin, which is produced by the Sertoli cells, that is to check the overactivity of follicle stimulating hormone, which is produced from the anterior lobe of the pituitary. Anterior lobe of the pituitary. The next is that they also produce a factor called anti-Mullerian factor. Now there are ducts, Mullerian ducts, which are present in the embryos. These Mullerian ducts, they will give rise to oviduct. They give rise to oviduct, uterus, cervix, and upper part of the vagina. So we do not want these structures to be formed in the male reproductive structure. So that is why a factor called anti-Mullerian factor is produced by the Sertoli cells, which will prevent the formation of these organs in the male reproductive system, which will prevent the formation of oviducts, etc. in the male embryos. Okay, and these are produced by the Sertoli cells. Now there is another very, very important cell also present inside the testis. These cells are called as the interstitial cells. So they are present not inside the seminiferous tubules, which we have been studying inside the testes, rather they are present outside the seminiferous tubules. So if you take a look at this particular diagram, the diagram down, this circular structures they have given you is the structure of the seminiferous tubule. Now, seminiferous tubules, so these small cells which you see outside these circular structures are called the interstitial cells, which are also called as the Leydig cells. So another name of interstitial cells is Leydig cells. Where are they present? They are present outside the seminiferous tubules into the spaces, interstitial spaces, which are, that is why they are called as interstitial cells. They also contain small blood vessels in them. They are polyhedral cells, and they are the main endocrine tissues of our testes. These interstitial cells or the Leydig cells are basically the endocrine tissues of male reproductive system. So that means they are the ones who actually are producing the testosterone or androgens. The Leydig cells synthesize and secrete the male reproductive hormone called androgens, chiefly testosterone. So this was primarily about the structure of the primary male primary sex organ, which was the testis. We have seen three important cells, which are the Sertoli cells, then spermatogonia, the germinal cells, the spermatogonia, Sertoli cells, and interstitial cells. Now, let us see the various tubes that help in bringing the sperms out of the testis. Now, as you can see, this highly coiled structure in this particular diagram, the highly coiled structure is the seminiferous tubules. Now, these seminiferous tubules, which are highly coiled structure, they eventually lead into straight tubes. So, they will eventually form straight tubes called as tubuli recti. So they eventually lead into straight tubes called as the tubuli recti, and these tubuli recti then once again enter into irregular cavities which are called as rete testi. They lead into this part which is called as the rete testis, which is an irregular cavities which again form various tubes. You can see here which are again forming various tube-like structures, which is called efferent ductilus, which is also called as the ductili efferentis. Now together these three structures, the tubuli recti, the rete testis and the ductili efferentis, these three structures, this structure number 1, the structure number 2 and this. So together these three structures, they actually form the intratesticular genital duct system. Why intra? Because it is present within the testis, inside the testis. So they are called intratesticular genital duct system. Okay, now after we have studied about the primary sex organ testis, let us try and answer some questions related to what we just covered. The question is, temperature in the scrotum necessary for sperm production should be how much? 2 degrees above body temperature, 2 degrees below body temperature, 8 degrees above body temperature or 8 degrees below body temperature? And the right answer, I hope you are able to answer, is 2 degrees below the body temperature. Next question is, accessory glands of the male reproductive system are? Options: prostate and seminal vesicle, prostate, Bartholin's and seminal vesicle, Bartholin's and seminal vesicle, or prostate, Copper's and seminal vesicles. So out of these four options, which is the right answer? The right answer is obviously the fourth option, which is prostate, Copper's gland and seminal vesicles. So I hope these questions and the content which I have shared with you have been helpful in clearing the concept of the male reproductive system as well as building up confidence within you for your NEET preparation. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much.